In an attempt to optimize every training variable, modern fitness has lost something. Fitness today is all about getting something. I want muscle. I want strength. I want to lose fat. I want to be healthy. Like a job and a paycheck, exercise has become nothing more than a means to an end. That's fine. I want things too, and I can't say for sure I would continue training if there wasn't a reward waiting for me at the end of it all. But why? Why do we want these things? What's the point of having muscle and strength and being lean? I think many of us get into fitness with the idea that once I get X, then I can finally have Y. Once I build enough muscle, I can finally take that shirtless walk on the beach. Once I build enough strength, I will finally be a valuable person capable of contributing and people will think I'm cool. Once I drop the fat, I can finally be confident. Okay, yes, those things are great, but they're all surface level goals. What is it you really want? I believe there's something else further down. Buried deep beneath it all is the true desire we all have. I want to enjoy my life. All roads lead back to this place. Having more muscle will probably make it easier to enjoy my life because once I do, I can go do that thing. Dropping the fat will probably make it easier to enjoy my life because once I do, I can go do that other thing. There's a problem here, a disconnect. Do you see it? We want happiness, but we always push it further away for a later date. Step 1, exercise. Step 2, get the thing. Step 3, apply the thing to some kind of activity meant to make you happy. I exercise to get the muscle so I can one day have that epic shirtless adventure on the beach, aka happiness. This is a recipe for a life spent in perpetual preparation. If enjoying life is the true goal we all have buried deep down, and we believe having more muscle is necessary for that, then we'll never get there. Muscle growth takes a lot of time, and once you have some, you'll just want more. You'll never make it. If muscle is the focus, there's a never-ending road ahead. There's also everyday life to consider. 5 days every week spent working to pay rent is enough on its own. Add to that every other little thing, shopping, stopping for gas, cooking food, doing laundry, sleep, and there isn't much time left over for anything else. You may have that dream of walking on the beach with a ripped and muscular body, but the truth is the vast majority of your time probably won't be spent on the beach. It will be spent doing the daily routine. More likely than not, you'll spend considerably more time training for the goal at the end than you ever will actually realizing that goal. Even if you manage to get the muscular body, it's likely nothing will change. You'll still have to go on with the daily grind. I exercise, 1, to get the muscle, 2, so I can one day have that epic shirtless adventure on the beach, aka happiness 3. Well, what if steps 1 and 3 went together? What if exercise and happiness were one and the same? What if rather than training for that day in the future, the training itself was the goal? Think about how much better life might be if, rather than just another item on the list of chores for the day, your workouts represented an opportunity to have fun, to play, to experience that happiness we're all looking for. Think about how great it would be knowing every morning when you wake up that today is the day. Rather than years spent in preparation for some far-off future date when you can finally start living, if the training itself is the goal, then you've already arrived. You're training already anyway, and changing something you're already doing is much easier than trying to add something new to the routine, like going to the beach or whatever it is that motivates you. And you can always add some of that too when you have the time. Step 1, exercise. Step 2, get the thing. Step 3, apply the thing to some kind of activity meant to make you happy becomes Step 1, I exercise because I enjoy it so much I would do it even if there wasn't a reward at the end. I wake up every morning excited to train, and I go to sleep every night thinking about it because it's so awesome. Exercise has given my life purpose, and for the first time since I was a child, I no longer spend every day waiting for the future. I've got it. Step 2, one day you wake up and realize you finally managed to build that strong and muscular body you always wanted. Nice. Back to modern fitness. There's a good chance if you're watching this video, you've accepted the fact that you will exercise in some way for the rest of your life if you can. If that's the case, modern fitness and its obsession with optimizing for results and the subsequent doctor's office-like training programs that come with that probably aren't for you. That approach is boring, and why would you commit to doing something boring for the rest of your life when the opportunity for something so exciting you find yourself jumping out of bed in the morning ready for the day is there waiting for you? If you plan on training for the rest of your life, screw optimizing for results. I say optimize for fun. The funny thing is, optimizing for fun is likely to yield better results than optimizing for results in the first place is, but most don't seem to get that. Most training styles will build muscle. Assuming the muscles are placed under at least a small amount of tension and the body is forced to work progressively harder over time, the muscle will come, and you're much more likely to stick with the training style you find enjoyable. Both roads lead to muscle, but when given the choice, why would you ever follow the fluorescent bulb-lighted, linoleum tile-covered, half-dead hallway when just a few steps to the side waits the hidden path through the woods? Rather than something alien and unsettling, why wouldn't you take the old and welcoming second path? The path of fun, where broad roots and fungi-covered decades-gone conifers in their natural state of decay cover the roughly carved track of brush-littered earth, making the way forward both mentally stimulating and infinitely less mundane than the crowded, interstate-like modern exercise method turnpike. I've had that little path description saved up for a while. Either way, you're already training at least a couple days every week. Why not take the opportunity to make that time into something you enjoy rather than something you do just because you feel like you should? Because you feel like doing the boring thing is your duty, so you can go on living for longer to continue doing the boring thing. The solution is simple, really. Find an exercise style you think is fun. Find an exercise style that feels less like a chore and more like a game. Let's talk about games and sports for a moment. You don't play a sport for the end of the game. Sure, winning is great, you want to win, and the scoreboard matters, but the end isn't the point. You play the sport because it's an enjoyable thing to do. It's for that moment before the hike, staring down the opposing team's lineman, ready to test your strength against his. It's for those final 2 minutes in a tied game with everyone watching, for round 3 in a sparring match when the points are close and you know your opponent is running out of steam, and for that perfectly executed assist from the sidelines. You don't play a game to get something, you play because it's fun. It makes life fun. I believe that's what training should be like. So enjoyable that everything else falls away and the future no longer exists. So enjoyable that even in those brief moments of clarity where you step back and take that bird's eye view of yourself, all you can think is, this is it. There's nothing else I'd rather be doing right now. And because it's so great, you make it back from that place of observation to full immersion without even realizing it. That's what training has become for me, and it's led to me building way more muscle than I ever did when I hit the gym like it was a job. I want that for you too. There are countless training styles out there for you to choose from. I know this next part has been overdone a bit, but that's because these things just really are that good. Consider training for advanced calisthenic skills. Can you remember when you were younger and you ran around the yard and the living room, jumping, crawling, and rolling around just because you could? Working towards calisthenic skills to me feels a lot more like that than it does to putting on a serious face and going to the gym. Consider climbing. Who didn't climb a tree back in those early days when the future didn't exist just because it was cool to look at the neighborhood from up above? I don't care what anyone says. If a climber commits to a bulk, he will add all kinds of muscle. I'm not talking about some make-believe scenario here. Tension is tension, and anyone who thinks climbing won't build a very large part of the body to a level that reaches at least that of the average gym-going, weight-training gym bro obviously hasn't tried it. And this isn't to say you have to commit 100% to climbing. You can still do your push-ups and whatever else on the side too if you want complete muscular development everywhere, but having climbing as your core goal adds a layer of enjoyment to your training that most will never even get close to when their only reason for training is to get the thing at the end. Consider shouldering heavy sandbags. Remember being a kid wrestling your friends because it was fun? Fighting each other because you wanted to be like some pro wrestling character or a Super Saiyan? Shouldering heavy sandbags feels more like that than it does working through a list of chores in the training log. When shouldering a sandbag becomes your goal, everything else falls into place. Even the less flashy assistance exercises like rows or carries become like a game because you know those experience points will add up eventually. I could go on. One final thing. I realize the problem with fitness videos like these, focused completely on theory, is that there's very little actual practical information. All of this stuff sounds cool, but what are you supposed to do with it? Well, I can't claim to be the best at calisthenic skills or climbing, but I do know a lot about sandbags. If lifting them sounds fun, I've made a bunch of videos already going over the details on how to do it. I'll have a few linked in the description if you're interested, but sandbags might not be your path, and that's okay. I know there's something out there for you. Maybe at the very least, this will act as a starting point from which you can branch out in whatever direction sounds exciting. I hope more than anything this video motivated you to seek some enjoyment in your training, because exercise is awesome, and life is awesome too if you let it be. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.